Hello, and welcome to the Social Justice Politicast for Monday, August 10th, 2026. My name is Gabriel. This upcoming week, we have some meetings that are happening at the city of Sacramento. We have not flagged any items for any of these meetings, but we just wanted to let you know that there is an Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy Commission meeting happening today, the 10th at 1 p.m. We also have a Rail Yards Public Financing Authority meeting happening tomorrow, Tuesday, the 11th at 9:30 a.m. A Budget and Audit Committee happening tomorrow, the 11th at 11 a.m. And a closed session City Council meeting happening at 12 p.m. Again, we have not flagged any items for the upcoming city meetings. However, we do have some items that we have flagged for the County Board of Supervisors meeting that is happening tomorrow, Tuesday, August 11th at 9:30 a.m. The first item that we have flagged is item 17, which is the authorization to execute a personal service agreement with John Tackett in the amount of $42,300 for services provided for the Central California Intelligence Center for the period of September 20th, 2026 through September 18th, 2027. The actions that are recommended by staff are to adopt the attached resolution authorizing the sheriff or his designee to execute a personal service agreement with John Kevin Tackett for Mountain Region Liaison services provided for the Central California Intelligence Center. Essentially, what this is that they are hiring a third party to do Fusion Center information gathering, which are state operated information gathering centers, right, that pull all the information around crime, counterterrorism. We've seen this before with the Sacramento Sheriff's Department. This person would be responsible for Siskiyou, Trinity, Modoc, Shasta, Tehama, Lassen, Plumas, Sierra, Alpine, Glen, Mono, and Inyo counties. So we have a lot of questions about this. Why is the Sacramento taxpayer dollars going to create an agreement with a third party to do intelligence gathering for a federal agency in a bunch of counties that aren't Sacramento? Granted, this isn't a lot of money, right? But it does bring up a lot of questions around the feds trying to instigate the CCIC to gather information that could be used for ICE, for the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI. Um, Overall, we want folks to attend and advocate again that more money should not be sent to federal agencies that are harming our neighbors, that are causing disruptions in Sacramento. This is, of course, coming right after the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors opened the budget to give the sheriff's department more money after they had taken, like every other department in the county, some cuts in order to balance the budget. So that's item 17 that we flagged. The next item, which is 19, is a retroactive authorization to accept the California Highway Patrol Cannabis Tax Fund Program funding in the amount of $162,177. This is a program that is using the tax dollars that is made off of legalized cannabis sales to fund the CHP. Um, in our opinion, money that is used to fund the CHP should not be coming from cannabis sales, especially since up until rather recently in California, the CHP, police departments, highway sheriff's departments have all actively worked to incarcerate and destroy people's lives for selling and growing cannabis in California. So this is really just kind of a kick in the teeth when it comes to the amount of money that is being used from the sale of cannabis, legal sales of cannabis, and the taxes that are made off of those sales going to further fund the law enforcement agencies that were used to literally destroy communities for decades. And then our next item is kind of connected to this in terms of like how ridiculous they are joint together, right? So item 23 is a retroactive authorization to apply for and accept the domestic cannabis eradication and suppression program funding from the U.S. Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Agency in the amount of $77,000. So again, this isn't a huge amount of money, $77,000. But if you were looking at the amount of money that is now going to the CHP for the legal sales of cannabis to fund the CHP. And this essentially would, according to the staff report, the Sacramento Sheriff's Department received the Drug Enforcement Agency's award letter on February 20th of this year in the amount of $77,000. This is a non-competitive funding and it will be used to cover overtime costs and related supplies for deputies directly engaged in the cannabis eradication process. So they're simultaneously accepting money to fight the sale and distribution of cannabis in California while also accepting the money that is made off of those sales to fund the California Highway Patrol. Make it make sense. Um, so these three items, all law enforcement based items, are happening this Tuesday, um, August 11th at the 9:30 a.m. Sacramento County Board of Supervisors meeting. Folks need to know what's going on. How is this supposed to make sense to people that we're using money to combat the sale of cannabis while then also utilizing the tax money off of its sales to continue to fund law enforcement agencies? It's like the whole Measure U situation in for the city of Sacramento all over again, right? All those funds that were supposed to be used to fund youth programs and anti-violence programs in the city were then just given to the police department. Um, so yikes. We also do have a an upcoming an event at the county in conjunction with the jail renovation. There is a jail system master planning community webinar that's happening on Thursday, August 27th at 5 p.m. This is a virtual meeting. It's open to all Sacramento residents. So we want to make sure that this is on folks' calendars because these do fill up really quickly. And oftentimes people are not able to get into these meetings because they have limited spaces, despite them being virtual. During this meeting, they're going to cover an overview of the jail system master planning process, the expected outcomes and the project timeline, and a summary of community input received to date. You can submit written comments. We will drop a link of where you can do that for the meeting. And they also have resources that we will drop in our links as well that have all of the previous meetings that they had, as well as videos that you can watch of those meetings so you can catch up on everything that's been discussed so far. That is it for this upcoming week. We will be back next week to cover what happened during these meetings and to go over our next week's agenda items. Until then, stay safe, Sacramento.